It may be tempting to get back together with your ex. I mean, it happens all the time in romantic comedies and it turns out great, but according to science, you should not do that. It's an interesting thing to think about, breakup science. But for many reasons disclosed in a few different journals that we are going to get into, it's generally not a good idea and kind of doesn't tend to work out so well. Our lives are finite. So, in the Journal of Adolescent Research, researchers from the University of Wisconsin and Bowling Green State University describe relationships as intimate unions, best conceived of as dynamic trajectories involving a heterogeneous and multi-directional array of transitions. That means anything could happen, we don't know, when describing a relationship. In a study of 792 young adults who were dating, about half of them had tried to rekindle an old relationship. A few more, 57%, had at least had sex with their ex. According to a 1988 study, 40% of married couples attempt a reconciliation after separating, and that 15% of those couples were still reconciled about 4 years later, meaning the bulk of those who had tried had failed, ultimately. This a lot of the research in here moves toward a general consensus that continuing to see the ex or having sex with the ex after the relationship has ended muddles your emotional health and makes you more connected to this person who you're still no longer connected with, or one side. Typically, the breakups are not crystal clear, and you are at least emotionally, or one side is emotionally invested in this more so than the other. Interestingly enough, according to some of this research, men are more likely to want to get back together. Women, particularly older and more educated women, are not. Being friends after tends not to work out so well, and you end up with a third-rate friendship, or, you'll get back into old routines and never really grow past it. It's better, according to research, to have a clean break.
Yeah, as speaking as someone who, and it just makes me laugh when you say that men are more likely to want to get back together, because I think I've tried to get back together with, I think, all of them, like at one point or
Really?
another. Yeah, just because it's like,
That's nice.
I know, it's like,
Well, maybe it's not healthy for you.
it's not. Let's be fair, it was not. But you get attached to these people, and you, in a lot of cases, you don't necessarily want to break up, but it's like you sort of, your head knows maybe it's the best thing to do, but you start to miss them, or you don't think, your heart doesn't believe it fully and stuff like that. So I get all these people trying to get back together, but that is always an issue of like, this person really, really wants to stay together, and this person is kind of, middling on getting back together, and then that's even worse. And
Well,
then there's
it's
much
ambiguous,
more. Yeah.
But to go along with that, I never want to get back together. Maybe I'm an old woman. I am educated, so that's helpful. But it just seems like something that's not good for me.
Yeah.
Like
It's not,
just going
yeah.
back to something that wasn't working, and there's a reason why it wasn't working.
I feel like if there is a small, obviously, a small percentage of people who do get back together and it does work out. So I never think trying it is a bad thing, if you feel strongly about a person. But you kind of have to know at least a little bit, like, this probably isn't going to happen. Moving on is difficult, and a clean break is probably the best way to go. I am no therapist, but I play one on this show. But yeah, I don't think it's, from my experience, is clean break.
Well,
Get
it
out
could
of there.
actually be physically unhealthy for you as well, because earlier when I said the 57% of subjects who had tried to have sex with their ex after, 20% of them had also reported sleeping with other people, and people tend to use only oral contraceptives, meaning just, I would say, birth control pills,
Sure.
which could leave you open to STDs as well. And you kind of just go into it because you're used to having this monogamous relationship with this person, but that is no longer the case in a lot of these cases. As weird as it sounds, according to a 2012 study, they have found that the more amicable a breakup is, the less likely the couple is going to get back together. So the more you're just like friendly about
Yep.
it and not like fighting, passionate, angry, you've emotionally moved on from that point,
Yep.
and you've decided it makes an easier foundation for getting into a healthy new relationship.
Which is good. You want to get into a healthy, if you have a healthy breakup, then to just call that a win and move on. Because I don't know if you have, but you have these breakups where you're just screaming at each other the whole time. There's obviously hurt feelings.
I've never had a screaming breakup.
Good. You shouldn't.
We've had crying breakups.
Okay, sure.
But no screaming.
Yeah.
And I've also had a text breakup, which was actually...
Was it your favorite one?
I mean, like, I was the one who was dumped.
Oh, well, okay.
But
that
I
can't be
was
great.
kind of just like, oh, yeah, okay. You know,
On the one hand, it's like, oh, this is the worst way to
I'm
get
glad
broken
he
up.
told me
Right.
how he felt, because then I was just like, all right, I mean, it takes two and you don't want to do it, so
Sure.
I got it.
Yeah.
I think he expected me to go crazy because he had exes who he
Yeah.
said went crazy, but maybe he was crazy. I don't know. I accepted it normally and moved on and said something nice.
Kim, you're a healthy person.
No, I'm not.
And I'm glad to know you as a colleague and friend.
Okay. I may have exes who might think otherwise. I at least handle breakups well.
Okay, well that's good.
But during the relationship, I may have other issues. Or I may be great. I mean, you don't know.
You could always just move to another state every time you break up with somebody.
Yeah, but
You
then I
see
have
the
to get a
world
new
that way.
job.
That's true.
And
That's
it's
true.
just like, not again. Yeah.
I see you've changed jobs 400 times in the past 5 years.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I don't know.
I'm a Jill of all trades. When cyclical couples break up, according to a Kansas State professor, Amber Venom, they tend to be ambiguous about ending the relationship, so it may be unclear to both or one or both partners if they broke up, why they broke up, which leads to continuing the romantic relationship. And the thought is, I'm not committed to you. Why would I work very hard to you? And it just continues this cycle. So I think the takeaways here are, one, it's probably not going to work if you get back with your ex and you're just going to use up a lot of time, which ultimately, I mean, if your goal is to find a life partner, you're not going to reach that goal as quickly or easily, and you might lose other opportunities. To be clear about breaking up, you probably won't end up being real friends after, but it's okay. Try and be cool about it. I mean, that's just such a weird takeaway, but
Yeah.
I mean, it also seems obvious.
Yeah, just be cool. Just,
Be
you know.
cool. Yeah, it happens.
It would be great to think that we could all be really adults about it and just be like, look, I don't think it's working. We're not compatible. I don't think so. If you do, I apologize, but we kind of have to be on the same wavelength kind of thing. I'm sorry.
I almost want to post a picture of the text breakup I had,
You have to.
because it's just like,
Was
I
it
think-
super long, or was it like, now we're done?
no, it was a fair medium amount.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, cool, you're a good person and I like you.
Right.
Sorry it didn't work out. Bye.
Yeah. That is, I mean, sadly how we have to handle these things
Yeah.
in this
I
technological age in
know
which we live.
sometimes you have these passionate feelings which can result in anger, but that's not going to work out so well in the end if your emotional health is a goal for you, and it probably should be. Audience, have you ever gotten back together with an ex, and did it work out? Were you the exception to these research studies? Please talk about it below in the comments, and please like and subscribe for more.